Well, as promised, this is my yearly teardown that I do every winter when I'm not really riding much with the weather here in Michigan, and also getting ready for summer. You can see I've torn out all the suspension pieces. I've torn out my Beaver off-road shocks. We'll go over those. I did find a little problem with some corrosion this winter on the aluminum, just due to the high salt content that Michigan roads contain. When you can actually find deer wandering out on the road to lick the salt off the roads, that's how you know it's bad. All the rear control arms. The way I take these apart is I just take the whole wheel assembly and don't take the ball joints apart, but I did notice that I do have a bad upper tie rod. This one's not too bad. This one's pretty loose, so I'm going to see if I can match that up at the local auto parts. What I did is also took out the carrier bearing assembly so I can check that bearing, and checked all the wheel assemblies for the rear. Now the bearings in these, you can turn these and you can tell these are nice and smooth. One thing that I've always said is make sure that your caliper slides stay free in the rear. They're both in good shape. The front ones were in good shape. I took the caliper slides off from that. You can see the collection of parts that I took off from the front wheel. I inspected my axle joints, also my tie rod ends, and I'll do a lot more inspection through the next week or so. But you can see each wheel assembly has been torn down. Tore all that off there. I did find one bad bearing or bushing on the driver's side on the lower rear suspension, so I'll be replacing that. While I was at it, I tore the seats out, the center console, air filter box, everything to get into the back of it, so I can inspect everything in the back. And I'll go around, and I've already gone as I've torn it all apart, and I'll go over it again with the light real close. I'll inspect the frame and just make sure I'm not finding any cracks or anything like that. And then again, what I'll do is I will come in and make sure that all the shift linkage is in good shape. Everything's adjusted properly, lubed the best we can lube it. You don't want to use any kind of a grease that's going to collect dirt. But we're just going to, this is what it's going to do, is tear it down. And I'm going to go over the whole thing and give the machine a complete inspection. I'll be inspecting all welds, frame mounts, everything, check the body mounts. I'm also going to look at while I have the suspension off, seeing if I can match up the suspension bushings instead of that white Teflon. See if we can match that up with urethane bushings, something for a little bit firmer ride, but a little softer to give you a little bit better ride, a little more controlled. So that's going to be something I'm going to be looking at when I got it torn apart. Also working on the full skid plate. Since I don't have any wheels or suspension hanging down, it's going to make it a lot easier. So this is what I'm going to be doing for my next couple weeks this winter. When I get my days off, I spend my days off doing this kind of stuff. And also you can see I tore out the grill because I was running a Jeep grill. I'm going to go back to the Flame grill. That's the one I really like. I really like that Flame skull grill. I'm going to go back with that. I also have to touch up my paint in the front where I had to weld my brackets in the front, you can see, and strengthen those up. I'm going to clean those up a little bit. Straighten out my skid plate where I tore it up on a log. And I'm just going to inspect all these and clean all the bushings out. Make sure the bolts are all clean. I'm really happy with how important it is to grease the inside of these collars that go inside the bushings. All my bolts came out really good. I did have one that was a little bit tight coming out. Mostly dirt in there with the grease, but when you grease these, grease doesn't go into that inside collar. So you have to make sure when you take these apart and reassemble them that you put that grease in there, whether it be an anti-seize type grease or just a standard grease, the same as what you'd grease the suspension with. The lower ball joints all look really good shape. Like I said, I just have this upper tie rod is a little looser than I'd like it to be, and obviously they're never getting any better, but for the most part the wheel bearings are all in really good shape. The brake pads and the rotors seem to be pretty good shape. I'll be putting a new set of brake pads on the rear, mainly because I had gotten some grease on them when I tore my drive shaft up, and those pads are still a little gummed up. So that's what it looked like when your Reaper's all torn down. I recommend, if you do a lot of road miles and four-wheeling like what I do, that you maybe not go quite this far, but you do regular inspections to check your wheel bearings, your suspension pieces and everything, just to make sure it's in good shape while you're out on the road. And you can see one other thing here is I apparently took a pretty hard hit, because I've actually dented the back of the body with the back of the seat. So I must have gone over something a little hard. But other than that, all in all, it looks pretty good. I don't see any real cracks or anything in the body that's anything to be worried of. Mostly just it just really needs to be cleaned up and get it ready for the next season so I can go tear it up again. I hope you enjoyed watching the video, and thank you for watching Beaver Off-Road on YouTube.